Welcome all of you to how a book and a mission transform this B&B into a successful nonprofit animal sanctuary and farm stay. Welcome to the webinar series that we're putting on for Farm Stay USA. I just want to do a little housekeeping to start for those of you who haven't been with us before. Zoom, which is the program we use, offers you the opportunity to interact with us. So Kate is on chat. If you have any questions, techie questions, you can certainly just chat with her. There is a Q&A that you will see in the bar that is for questions that we will answer at the end of the presentation. You can feel free to type those in at any time. I will be reading them and Lester will be responding to them verbally. All microphones other than mine and Lester's are muted at this point just to keep things simple. There's a very short survey at the end of the webinar, which is feedback. And this webinar will be posted on the Farm Stay USA website in the Farmer's Guide, hopefully 24 to 48 hours after the presentation. Just as an introduction, my name is Scotty Jones. I'm the founder and executive director of the U.S. Farm Stay Association that we lovingly call Farm Stay USA. But I am also the co-owner of Leaping Lamb Farm and Farm Stay here in Alsea, Oregon. We became farmers in 2003 and opened the farm stay in 2006. So I get the opportunity to interact with our farm stay hosts regularly and see what they do well as the association ED, but I also totally understand the challenges that they have since I operate my own farm stay. I would like to introduce Lester Aradi, who is at Horse Creek Stables in Mineral Bluff, Georgia, and I do hope that I did not mangle his last name. He and his wife, Diane, are originally from Chicago. They moved to Florida, from Florida to Georgia to, I always call it retiring on a farm. He was formerly a on the police force for 36 years and a police chief for 10. And he and Diane have traveled extensively and always enjoyed the personal touch of B&Bs. So when they opened their Horse Creek Stables, they had that same intent to share their lifestyle and share the area with their guests. Now, they started out into the animal rescue business with a donkey and a three-legged dog. No part of their original plan was to become an animal sanctuary, but Lester wrote a book and that became a mission, and now they have found themselves in a totally different place than where I think they originally imagined. And all of that is not bad for business for a farm stay either. So I'd like to welcome Lester. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and he is going to grab it from here and tell us a little bit about his and Diane's journey. So there you go, Lester.
Thank you very much. We're so proud and so thankful to be part of Farm Stay US and have this opportunity to talk to all of you. Again, we are Horse Creek Stable Rescue Sanctuary Bed and Breakfast. Our website is horsecreekstable.com. Sorry, I missed the .com on the end of that. If you want, grab my phone number. I'm always available to answer any questions. We also would welcome you to friend me on Facebook under Lester Aradi. We post daily of all the happenings on the farm. That's part of our marketing strategy. And I would absolutely love for you to follow us and be friends with us and we could interact. I don't think that we can all do it by ourselves on our own. We all have a lot to offer in terms of ideas. And today what we're trying to do is to give you some of the successes we had, how that came about, and if there's anything you can use to help you further your mission, your business, or just your love of being a farm stay host, please feel free to grab any ideas that we might have. If it doesn't apply, that's fine too. But I've never been to a webinar or any type of activity where you don't walk away with something to learn. I'm The Weather Channel just did a short segment of us on their Local Now chapter. It's hit over 8,000 views. I'm going to play that for you at the beginning of this presentation because it'll save a lot of time and pretty much tell you who we are and what we do, even though it was just broadcast last week. So we're going to go ahead with that right now.
Yes, you're a good girl. Horse Creek Stable is much more than just a farm. It's home to animals working on a second chance at life. Located in Blue Ridge, Georgia, Lester and Diana Aradi originally bought the farm to start their own bed and breakfast.
We bought this as a foreclosure. Most of what you've seen so far wasn't here. We initially thought we would do it for family and friends. And then we both came up with the idea of why don't we rent it out as a bed and breakfast?
We don't take a dime of salary from the business. Everything after expenses goes right back into the farm. So it helps to make more pasture, add more fencing, get more animals.
Quickly, their business expanded to much more by bringing in some furry friends.
Right now we have 5 dogs, 3 horses, a mini donkey, and 10
Llamas and
llamas and alpacas.
Most of these animals were left unwanted when up for adoption, and the Aradis welcomed them with open arms.
Just giving them a warm, comfortable, loving home, something they didn't have prior to that.
We do more special needs. If they're older, it's end of life, they can stay here and help with medical needs. And when they get healthy, they can be adopted out. So we're kind of a way station, but we love that.
The animals are now being rehabilitated. Some are registered therapy animals, paying visits to assisted living and children with disabilities.
We started taking Buckaroo around to assisted living facilities. We had to train him in certain things. And he had to pass some rigid standards. And then when we received Tricycle and Romeo, we put them through the process of training them, and they became therapy dogs. Then we wrote our children's book, Tricycle and Friends. So we started taking the 2 of them around to schools and doing book readings, different bookstores.
The 36-acre land now provides a place to stay the weekend, therapy sessions, and an opportunity to get hands-on around the farm.
From 9 to 10 every day, 7 days a week, people can come out and we'll take them around and show them the animals.
Last year, we ended up putting together a volunteer program because there's a lot of heavy lifting here that needs to be done. It's not just coming out and brushing and petting a horse. It's hard farm work.
The couple has no intention of stopping.
People say, I love what you're doing, but we love when people have partnered up with us. People are good. And
Life is good.
We hope you enjoyed that. So going back, we are Horse Creek Stable Bed and Breakfast. We started out as Horse Creek Stable Bed and Breakfast and then became Horse Creek Stable Rescue Sanctuary. We operate only a 1-room farm stay bed and breakfast. We try and be a full service farm stay experience or agritourism experience. And one of the things we're most proud of is that we've been a founding member of Farm Stay US, which is in essence what we are all about. So there's really no choice for us other than to really love being part of the Farm Stay community. If you want to be successful, you have to come up with a marketing strategy. And our marketing strategy is that we offer a romantic bed and breakfast on 36 secluded acres where we only accommodate 1 guest at a time. Our small detached cottage is perfectly suited for 1 couple or a couple with small children. And again, marketing is really key to making your business be successful. And as I go through some of the slides, I want to convince you that sometimes cheaper is better and that you don't have to pay good money and waste it on marketing strategies that just aren't going to pay off. One of the things that has helped us the most is TripAdvisor. For us, it's been the king of marketing. We've been with TripAdvisor since early on, long before 2014, where it says on the screen here. But not a year goes by that TripAdvisor doesn't call us up and asks us if we should become business partners with them, and that they could then kind of do a reservation for us and get more clients that way. But quite frankly, joining just TripAdvisor, the basic TripAdvisor is free. You can get listed with them for free. You don't have to pay the big bucks to be a business partner with TripAdvisor. And people we found really will go to TripAdvisor to read reviews. And reviews are king in our business. One of the things that we've enjoyed about getting people to leave reviews and leave good reviews is when they are checking out, we obviously give them a hug, shake their hand, ask them if their stay was wonderful. And if there's the time to ask them is right then and there when they're leaving, was there anything that we could have done that would make your stay better? And if there's anything that we did wrong, please tell us because we want to build on that. That takes the wind out of their sails if they want to leave a critical comment when they look you in the eye and they give you some constructive criticism that they've already spoken their mind to you. Very seldom will they then turn around and leave you a bad review on top of that. We found that if somebody does leave a negative review, never, ever argue with them online. The worst thing you could do is go, oh yeah, well your feet smell, or something critical of that, or become overly defensive. If you do that, we've all read reviews where people have gone over the top being defensive of the critical comments that have been left for them. It's hard to swallow and not respond, but always respond back with thank you for telling us your concerns. We are going to address them immediately and make sure that we improve upon our service based on your input, and we thank you. Always respond to every review with a manager or owner's comment back saying, it was just a pleasure having you stay with us. We hope we see you again. And then personalize it. You two were so delightful to our animals. Thank you for buying flowers for Diane or whatever, but make it a positive exchange on TripAdvisor. And again, don't feel the need to be critical back, because that's a turnoff for people who are reading reviews and will read your comments. I talked about the fact that some of the best marketing is for free. Here's 3 of them. The Mother Nature News, only in your state, and featured on Trips to Discover. Quite frankly, I've never heard of these before until somebody called us up or wrote us an email saying, hey, we came across your site, or we saw a newspaper article about you. Would you mind if we grab some of the pictures off your website and write a story about you? Or they'll call up and interview you. And of course, the answer is yeah. For example, Mother Nature News, when they broke that story in their website, all of a sudden we had over 1,000 visits to our webpage that day, and several bookings followed that. Same with Only in Your State. It was just a wonderful way to get a lot of traffic to our farm. And honestly, again, I did not know who they were before they called us up. But that free advertising that you didn't have to pay for paid off in wonders. When we first opened up, we paid big bucks to bedandbreakfast.com and BB Online. Bedandbreakfast.com is no longer in existence. I think they merged with Expedia or one of the other big companies. And now they're concentrating on having you pay big money for reservation systems that you don't need. We have our own private reservation system through ResNexus, and whatever you use, we found that we can do it much better on our own without VRBO or one of the other plans. In the state of Georgia, Explore Georgia. Georgia is very big into promoting all the state's marketing, agritourism, tourism. They really love tourism in the state of Georgia, and we are on the Explore Georgia site. Again, that's free. If at any time you find out that your state has a marketing strategy for tourism, partner up with them. It's usually very free or very cost effective, if not free most of the time, and you'd be surprised at how much traffic comes to you through a local chamber of commerce or the state of Georgia itself, or your state. Again, our marketing has been a romantic bed and breakfast. So we post daily on our Facebook page different pictures of our guests having a good time interacting with our animals. This was one that has paid off tremendously because people would call up and go, can we just walk the property and see the horses? And can we go in and meet the animals? And our answer is absolutely you can. We want you to enjoy yourself. Again, we are not just a summer, it's easy for people to get away in the summer and want to stay on a farm. But because of our proximity to being north of Atlanta by about 2 hours, and a lot of traffic comes up from Florida when they want to come see the leaves change colors, but they also will write to us and go, when does it snow, or how much snow do you get? We've never seen snow, or I can't remember the last time I've seen snow. So part of our marketing, again, on Facebook, which has just exploded our business, has been the different seasons involved in coming and staying on our farm. So if you can incorporate, just what you have to offer, and if you want to shut down for a couple months in the wintertime, that's great. If not, there's good money to be had and people will come. And word of mouth, because of these visits, has just, again, exploded our business. It's free marketing. We post pictures of our room. I told you that we only have a one-room detached carriage house suite. It's detached from the main house where we live. We advertise our fact that, again, they will be our only guest, that they will have the ability to just enjoy a quiet, relaxing, private accommodation. I can't tell you how many times people have turned to us and said, I hate bed and breakfast, or I don't like bed and breakfast because I don't want to sit down with a group of people in the morning. Or I love bed and breakfast, but my husband doesn't want to, do it. He just wants to stay in a hotel room. Well, we've been marketing ourselves as you have your own private suite with a fireplace and cable TV. And best of all, Diane will cook you a full country breakfast with our own chickens laying eggs, and it will be delivered to you in the room. We can't tell you how many times people are still in a robe, or one person is still in the bed, and they just get the comfort of not having to get dressed up and go downstairs or go to a different building to get served a full country breakfast. We have a king-size bed and a queen-size sleeper sofa, which you see in the left-hand picture. I'm sorry, my cursor doesn't work. Otherwise, I could be pointing this out to you. But on the left-hand picture, that sofa opens up to a queen-size bed. It's ideally suited for 2 adults or 2 adults with 2 small children. We've had people as many as 4 adults or 4 adults with 2 children show up. That was a critical mistake on our part. Even though they said they didn't mind, they would bring an air mattress. It got too crowded in that room, and it overwhelmed Diane having to serve everybody a full breakfast in the room. So we have now kind of strictly limited ourselves to only serving 1 couple or 1 couple with children at a time. When we first opened up in 2010, we were so afraid that people wouldn't come to us and stay with us that we accepted one-night stays. When we first opened up, although the property was still under construction, we called it a pardon our dust special. We were charging $65 a night, and we were getting all sorts of people coming for just late at night, checking in and leaving first thing in the morning, and they were missing out on a great experience on our farm. We've since incorporated a 2-night stay, and since 2010, we have continually raised our prices. And something interesting happened when we started raising our prices. The quality of our guests and the number of guests that started coming improved dramatically. And now we charge we charge close to $200 a night with a minimum 2-night salary. And we have a waiting list of people that want to enjoy our accommodation, based again on marketing and based again on TripAdvisor reviews. Then something wonderful happened. The state of Georgia, as I told you, really pushes tourism. And if you go to Europe, many of you know this, if you go to France, Italy, anywhere in Europe, you'll see agritourism signs everywhere. And agritourism over there means that you'll be staying on a farm or a vineyard and participate in just some down-home activities during your stay. In Georgia, agritourism means apple orchards and wine vineyards, but it also includes bed and breakfast stays that their theme is farm. So it took us about 8 months applying for Georgia agritourism status. And in order to receive it, you had to also show, it wasn't enough that you just had a bed and breakfast stay on a farm. You had to show that you sold a product. So a few of our products that we did, one of which was we started our own beehives. And you could spend $600 to produce $60 worth of honey. So it's not a money maker. However, people enjoy buying their own honey when they stay with you, and it showed the state that we had a product to sell, even though, albeit it was at a loss financially. We also have our own chickens. Not only do they produce farm fresh eggs, pasture-raised chickens, farm fresh eggs on our farm, but we also sell them when people want to come in and buy them. So it's another product that we could sell. Once we obtained agritourism status, our tax accountant turned around and said, now that is a game changer. Now that you have agritourism status, every business expense that you incur to promote and continue the agritourism business, those are all write-offs. So, if you want to build an addition onto your chicken coop, that's part of the business expense. If you want to buy beekeeping supplies and jars for honey, that's a business expense. So and then the roadway, if you want to put gravel down the driveway and, new furniture in your business, of course, that's a business expense. So, it's really worth it. If your state offers some sort of tourism or agritourism, to look into that, call them up and see what they offer in terms of that. And here's an example of our own cherry tree. We would pick the cherries and make our own jellies and preserves. I loved last week's presentation on making cheese from goats, and that's just another example. Your imagination should run wild with what you can and can't do to help promote your business and keep it distinct from all other hotels, motels, and even other bed and breakfasts in your area. Then something happened magically. A gentleman by the name of Ray DeLessio called me up. I sadly had to tell him I didn't know who he was when he asked if I knew him, but he was a big sports broadcaster. And he said, I was driving down the highway and I saw your state green agritourism sign, and I looked you up on your internet, on your webpage, and I just have to come out and do a story about you, which he did. So that was not only shown on RFD TV, but they also played that segment on Sunday mornings on Fox 5 Atlanta, which just drew more visitors again to our website. Then I had to laugh because 2 years later, I had to go to Wyoming and on a personal matter. And as I'm in my hotel room, one Sunday morning, I turned on the TV as I woke up, and wouldn't you know, 2 weeks after it aired here in Georgia, there was the segment about our farm in Wyoming. So you would be surprised at the far reach of some of these, and this was free, like all the others. This was free advertising, a big bang for $0, and it drove a lot of business to us. But not only that, other people started seeing that and started calling up to see if they could do segments on us. Part of our marketing is our animals, our rescues. This 5-day-old alpaca on the left and one of our rescued golden retrievers. We throw that out on Facebook, that and all the other animals, to kind of tell people who we are and what we do. The llama on the left between Diane and I was a rescue. She delivered a baby here on the farm. She came here almost dead, and the baby was almost stillborn. But she is now one of our biggest draws. Why? Because we're constantly putting out on a daily basis all the visitors that get to interact with her. In the upper right, that's one of our rescued golden retrievers by the name of Hope, who has a condition called cerebellar hypoplasia. The equivalent to that is cerebral palsy, and you'd be surprised how many children we've had visit our farm who have cerebral palsy, that their parents wanted them to come here and meet Hope and get some inspiration from Hope. And the children have loved it. And then along comes Tricycle on the right, in the bottom right. Tricycle is, in the center, and Romeo is on the right. They both have 3 legs. They were the inspiration for our children's book. We've even had people come here with missing limbs. I recall one woman getting out of a car, and she said, "I came here to visit your 3-legged dogs." She rolled up her pants leg and showed us that she had a prosthesis for her left leg. Because of all that, Fox 5 Atlanta came out and did a segment on us that really just exploded our book sales about Tricycle and Friends. I'm going to play you only about 30 seconds of this. I don't want to bore you with this full 5-minute segment, but this is the kind of media you can get if you just keep plugging away at it.
In the North Georgia mountains is now a place for disabled animals who have nowhere else to go.
Animals inspired the farm's owners to write a children's book, teaching kids to celebrate being different. Today's Alexa Liaco traveled to Mineral Bluff to get a look at the furry friends behind the story. Good morning, Alexa.
Good morning, and they are so sweet. It all started when a couple adopted a golden retriever that had 3 legs. His name was Tricycle. Now, Horse Creek Stable has several animals with disabilities that travel to schools and hospitals all around the area to help children feel special.
So that's Tricycle on the left. 3-legged Tricycle. We turned him into a therapy dog. We take him around to not only assisted living facilities, but children's hospitals, libraries, book signings. Again, on the bottom right, that's Romeo and Tricycle. Huge hit with everybody that we take them to. The story that Fox 5 Atlanta on Good Morning Atlanta did on us would not have been possible except for all the other free advertising that we agreed to do with people that would call us up, the different medias, the newspapers, the magazines that have done stories on us. And this all, it's like dominoes. The hardest domino to fall is the very first one, and you have to push that one over, and it hits the next one, and that one's a little harder to fall. And pretty soon it builds up momentum like a train leaving a train station. But you have to work at it. If you're not marketing, you're falling behind. The story or the picture that started our children's book was this picture. We started posting that on our Facebook page and sharing it with Adopt a Golden Atlanta, where we received Tricycle from. And this is the picture where people kept saying, "You've got to put this in a children's book. You just have to write a children's book. All the pictures you are posting is just amazing. Please, put this in a book." So we decided to do that. We wrote the true life adventures of Tricycle and his rescued farm animal friends. We have to laugh when Michelle Obama wrote her memoir. On day 1, she sold over 1 million copies. On day 1, I think I sold 3. Despite spending several months trying to pitch this story to literary agents and publishers, who are we? And I'm a nobody. And unless you're a celebrity, children's books are a dime a dozen. So we felt so strongly about the story that we wanted to write that we just budgeted the money to self-publish this. We reached out to a company called Archway Publishing. They did a lot of the work for us. And this is the first generation of Tricycle and Friends. We were so lucky that our followers on Facebook, and again, we marketed the heck out of this on Facebook and on LinkedIn, that it caught the attention of a literary agent out of New York. She was trying to pitch children's books to a up-and-coming publisher called Post Hill Press. And Post Hill Press then redid the book in the current cover that you see now. And they really did a great job with illustrations and better editing than we could do. So this book started to take off really well. But you can't rest on your laurels. And if you're into any kind of book publishing, you quickly realize that the people that are going to promote your book are you. It's all dollars and cents with publishers. Unless, again, you're a major celebrity, they're not going to put additional money into promotion that they've already spent on production. So it's up to you to go around. On the left, we visited this bookshop way out on the east coast of North Carolina. In the upper right, that's a book signing that we did with children at Books A Million. And at least on a weekly, or if not twice a month, we'll go out to different libraries or children's hospitals, and we'll do book readings just to get the buzz out there about our book. Here's a book signing that we did at Barnes & Noble. In the upper right, it kind of shows you just a snippet of what we did that month, in a month period, in terms of promoting our own book. But the best promotion was Tricycle and Romeo themselves. And in the bottom right, this is a absolutely true kind of representation of what our book signings are. Nobody wants to see me. Nobody wants to talk to me. I'm nobody, and I know it, and I'm good with that. But boy, they just want to have their pictures taken with Tricycle. We took a picture of the underside of his front paw, made stickers out of it, and we autograph every book that says, "Thanks for being my friend, love Tricycle." And the kids just line up to do that. Not only did we do book signings, but this very special young girl, her name is Shelby, she came to visit our farm to meet Buckaroo, one of our therapy animals, and she just fell in love with Buckaroo. We took this picture on the left, and we made that as part of the new book, and she's included in there in one of the pages from the True Life Pictures. And here she is in the upper right, proudly holding up a copy of the book. And in the bottom right, she is displaying the illustration of her with Buckaroo. Then something magical happened. Shelby and her mom called me up one day and said, I see from all your posts that you're going around and you're doing book signings. Would it be possible if we could do a book signing in Southern Florida in Fort Myers? Shelby, her mom told me, Shelby would just love to sign the page in her book that has the illustration. And we were wondering if you wouldn't mind terribly if we did it, and how do we do it? So they approached the store manager at Barnes & Noble in Fort Myers, Florida, and they pitched the idea of Shelby doing a book signing. And that store manager didn't want to say no to a girl with Down syndrome. He thought it was a bad idea. He figured this was going to be a money loser. Whatever books he ordered are not going to sell. So he only ordered 20 copies of the book. Well, Shelby belongs to Special Olympics down there, along with a couple of her other groups. On the day of the book signing, her and her mom came in and decorated the table. And wouldn't you know it, there were about 60 people lined up outside the door before the doors opened up. And the store manager admitted to Shelby's mother that he blew it. He underestimated the power of what Shelby could bring in. And the people that couldn't buy the book there, they had to pre-order it through him. But this was a tremendous hit on the part of Shelby. Here, locally, we buy the books ourselves, even though it's available on Barnes & Noble and Books A Million, and especially Amazon. We buy a certain number of books ourselves, and then we will take them locally to local shops. And here's one of the more popular shops in downtown Blue Ridge, and they carry our book. We give them our books at our cost, which is half off the manufacturer suggested price. We don't want to make a dime off of it, but the number of people that visit Blue Ridge, which is a high tourist area, they come in, they see this book, and the owners start pitching who we are and what we do. And that has even driven people to come and stay out on the farm. I talked about advertising, and some of the best advertising is the support of our local media. One of the, hopefully she's watching, she said she was going to, but the two stories on the right is from a local reporter by the name of Bree. She came out and did those two stories. And then the best thing that happened was, based on those stories, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution wrote the article on the left. That drove several dozen people to immediately book a reservation to stay on our farm based on what they read. And to this day, when we ask people, what brought you to us? Why did you stay with us? Sometimes they say, well, we found you on the internet, but we've also had a lot of people that say, I read your story in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and I just had to come up. So the media, newspaper articles, television, it can do wonders for you. You know, we didn't get this to happen overnight. We just had to plug away with all the previous free media that I told you about. But why spend money on, you know, big advertisers that really don't bring a lot to you when the media, newspapers and the television can do so much and outshines all the others. Here's another one, a story by Bree Collar. When she did this story not too long ago, I mean, this just by itself, Horse Creek Stable Animal Rescue Sanctuary, a place you'll want to see. And all the visitors that come to Blue Ridge that pick up this paper and they turn around and go, next time we're staying at this farm. We just, you know, this is the place we want to come. And now on high volume weekends, we even have a waiting list for people that want to stay here. All based, again, on the wonderful support that we have by our media. So Bree, if you're out there, thank you so much. Maybe you want to do a story about this presentation. That'd be great. Not only do we have children who come out because of the book Tricycle and Friends, but we have people of all ages. And these two ladies came to stay with us one weekend because of the book, because of our Facebook advertising. They wanted to come meet the animals in the book, and they've been back once since this time. A couple, 3 years ago, we would always offer free tours. We stopped what we were doing, and we would give people a tour. We asked for donations, but one weekend over Christmas, we had 6 tours on a Saturday and 6 tours on a Sunday, and nobody left a dime. And we had to rethink our strategy on that. So now what we do is we offer free farm tours for any children with disabilities or special needs, and all others are welcome to come, and we ask for a donation. And even though we ask for $25 for a 1-hour tour, usually people are far more generous than that. And that has been a driving force ever since we became a 501c3 nonprofit. We've been able to add a lot more animals and a lot more infrastructure based on the money that we get in through donations. On the bottom right picture, even our school districts, they'll take their special education classes and show up with a busload just to come and meet the animals on our farm. Here's a summer camp at the local arts center, a big hit, again, Tricycle and Romeo. We get more invitations than we can handle, but here they are. The children were just delighted. except for the young boy in the center front. I don't think he wanted his picture taken. All right, so my motto is, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. So you just can't rest on your laurels. You can't sit back and go, we've done enough. Why aren't people coming here? If nothing else, have a Facebook page and post your picture or a picture of what you're doing or what the guests are doing or what your visitors are doing every single day. We have a special dog that came to us recently. We posted on the local Blue Ridge Facebook site, and at one point she had a following of 1,000 people. I'll get into her story in a bit. Even radio, they've invited us up based on the newspaper articles that have been printed. All right, the picture on the left is a little hard to look at, I realize. Adopt a Goat in Atlanta took in 17 dogs from a breeding operation in Missouri. And the worst case scenario was the girl on the left. Her name was Snowflake. And she lost her right eye due to cancer in her skull. And it had metastasized into her lungs. Adopt a Goat in Atlanta said that she only had 2 months to live at best. Would we take her? And we said, absolutely. We then started posting her story and the bucket list of adventures that we're giving her on every single day. And she's the one that developed 1,000 followers that followed her story. We could not go out publicly in our town without somebody saying, is that Snowflake? Sorry about the phone, we have it turned off. And so people would follow Snowflake's story, and then when she died, we had more people brokenhearted. When she died, we called up Adopt a Goat in Atlanta and said, give us your next worst case scenario. And in the upper right, that is her I'll call it her slave name. Oh my God. I am so sorry, folks. We had everything disconnected. In the upper right, that her slave name or her breeder name was Goldie. She had breast cancer, and she obviously had been beaten very badly her whole life, because we could see several triggers where she cowers away from people. Romeo on the left immediately took her in as his friend. In the bottom right-hand picture, that's Romeo on the left, and we decided to get rid of her breeder name. She spent 9 years in a pen producing puppies, and that's all she was worth to this breeder. So when Romeo kind of befriended her, we changed her name to Juliet. And here's another story. Once Snowflake died, that was the video I showed you in the very beginning by Local Now, the Weather Channel. They called us up and they said, we want to come out and we want to do a story about Snowflake. And we had to tell them, well, I hate to say this, you may not want to come out because Snowflake had just, we put her under. We helped her across the Rainbow Bridge. All our animals are buried here on the farm. And they called us up the next day and they said, you know what, let's do a story about your farm and the rescues anyway. The local paper, the News Observer, wrote this very nice story up about Snowflake's final days and how Juliet has now become part of the farm. Here is, whoops, sorry folks. I was looking for a slide and I can't find it. So in conclusion, at the end, we're so proud of being part of Farmstay US. It is the essence of who we are and what we do. And so we put Farmstay US on all our web pages and our advertising. And people by the droves are wanting to stay on a farm, and agritourism stay more and more. So with that, we'll conclude our presentation. I hope we gave you some ideas, and if you want to friend me on Facebook, it's Lester Aradi, Lesteraradi. Just make an indication there that you attended the presentation, because like many of you, we get so many requests from people we don't know. But with that, Scotty, we'll turn it over to you again.
Okay, thank you, Lester. That was wonderful. So I am going to take us to the very last page, which is this one right here, to say thank you. That was really interesting. Like you said, I always learn something brand new at all of these talks, even though I think I know a lot. So I appreciate all your information. And we do have some questions that are already lined up. So I am going to read those out loud. And Lester, if you can answer them. So the first one is from Cindy Harrell. Since your guests are coming for romantic getaways with just one room, aren't some bothered by having other tour visitors disturbing their privacy?
A great question. We now only offer one tour a day from 9 in the morning until 10 in the morning. When our guests check in, we tell them ahead of time that there'll be a tour tomorrow morning that's been scheduled. And we haven't had a complaint yet. Unlike our farm visitors that come for a tour, we tell our bed and breakfast guests that they have complete run of the entire farm. And they can go in with the animals. We'll show them which animal enclosures they're welcome to go into. And they get a full day that the tour participants don't get. I forgot to mention, one of the really cool things that our guests get to do is take a folding chair and a bottle of wine and go into the llama enclosures and sit down and drink wine while the llamas walk around them. So we haven't had a complaint yet.
I don't think you would. Okay, so then the next question is, do you ever have guests objecting to having their photos published on Facebook or social media?
No, we asked permission. We asked them, are you seeing the screen here with my email?
Yes, yes.
Dang it.
Yeah, we've got your email address, we have your phone number, and we have your name.
Okay. I'm sorry.
About pictures.
The pictures. Even though they sign a waiver if they're visiting, and when we became a 501c3, our attorneys said you have to have a waiver if they're going to go in with the animals. And in that waiver, there's a paragraph that says that they consent to their picture being posted or taken. But we still won't do that. We ask them for permission to post their picture. Very rarely do they say no. And half the time they say, oh, yeah, please do, and tag me, will you? But if there's any reluctance at all, we won't post their picture.
I need to ask, in addition to that, though, does that include your tour people as well? You have them sign a waiver and an agreement for...
Yes. Because the animals technically now belong to the 501c3 nonprofit. There's no real insurance that protects the nonprofit corporation. So our attorney came up with a 2-page waiver, and we apologize, and we asked people to sign it, especially to be vigilant about the paragraph that covers the children, that they have to be under their constant control. But again, you'd be surprised how many of our visitors love having their picture posted, and they'll want to be shared, or many times they'll post pictures and tag us.
Sure. Okay. And then, so Cindy had one more question. She said, how do you successfully go from a for-profit business to a nonprofit?
The bed and breakfast operation was always for-profit, although we operated at a loss because, how much money can you make as a one-room stay? After all the expenses, again, Diane and I never took a dime of salary. But in the early days, we wanted to become a nonprofit, and both our attorney and our tax accountant said, no, you don't. It's really costly. It's a lot of work. And then about 2 years ago, our tax accountant said, yeah, the rules have changed for nonprofits. It's almost like, 501c3 EZ. She donated her time, set us up. We just paid for the fees. Our attorney created the corporation for us. And I'll be honest with you, when we became a nonprofit, people are just donating major amounts of money to us so that we could add more animals and infrastructure.
Wow. Okay, so that kind of goes, so Dewey Williams asked, he said, talk about the difficulties and benefits of becoming a 501c3. So I think you answered a lot of that, but is there anything else?
No, that was it. Again, you have to get legal advice not only from your attorney and also your tax accountant. But in the beginning, that was the difficult part, was getting the that 501c3 status initially.
Okay, so then the second question he had, he goes, I know you and Diane are pretty much locked into the farm with few and far between. How do you get time off to relax?
Thank you, Dewey, for that question. Dewey has been a visitor to our farm before, and we appreciate your participating in this. The simple fact is, even though Diane and I used to travel the world together, now that we have animals, especially special needs animals, some are at the end of their life, some have significant medical challenges. So Diane and I can no longer travel anywhere together, unless, of course, one of our grown children come for a weekend and watch the farm for us. But even with them now, we're taking on more and more at-risk cases. So Diane and I have to travel separately. She goes on vacation. I go visit the grandkids. We just have to do it separately now.
Okay. So then let's see. Bonnie Schubert wants to know what type, and she put, or types of liability insurance do you carry for overnight and daytime guests?
We have bed and breakfast insurance that we. I was so naive in the beginning. I thought because we were. I forgot what it was that we didn't have to worry about liability, but you do. So we now pay commercial insurance for our bed. It's bed and breakfast insurance, basically, that covers not only the liability of our guests staying here, but also for us, damages and so on. And then the waiver does a lot to help. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but our attorney did a good job in coming up with a waiver that basically says being with animals is dangerous, and going into your enclosures, you're taking that risk on by yourself.
Okay. Does your state also have a limited liability agritourism law in place?
Yeah, especially when it comes to equine. It's I forgot the name of it now. Georgia, it's equine exclusion. It's many states have, and I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but many states have where horseback riding, or if you're participating in any kind of equine activity, and that even includes going in to visit with them, that by state law you cannot sue an equine participant or owner. And our attorney said that's one of the best laws there are in protecting you. All that we're required to do is post a notice at the entrance that says that we are an equine state, an equine liability state.
And they don't interact with the horses.
Okay. And they do, and what was that, Diane? They don't ride.
The guests to the farm are not allowed to go in the pasture with the horses. They always have to have a fence between them.
Okay.
So we don't do any horseback riding or anything like that. So they're aware.
Okay. Great. So good. Are there any other questions out there? Lester's information is right here on the screen, so you can certainly contact him or Diane by phone, by email. You can join their Facebook page. I want to thank them for taking the time today to spend with us. That was absolutely wonderful. And I guess the only other thing I've got is we have one more webinar that's scheduled so far, and then I think that might end it up for this year, and we'll start next year. It's going to be about hosting tours and groups on your farm. It's going to be Ruth Pepler. She's from Dogwood Hills in Harriet, Arkansas, and she's been doing this quite successfully. There are future topics. I know we should talk about weddings on farms. I know we should talk about ranch days. there's anything else anybody has, I'm more than open to finding the right resource to talk to that topic. But thank you all very much for spending this time with us today. And I am going to end this webinar now. So best of luck with everything else that you've got going on today.
Oh,
And
Scotty,
yes.
I just see Dewey Williams. God, I love you, Dewey. He just posted a question that says, if you want to make a tax-deductible contribution, how do we do that? Boy, Dewey, we love you. On our website, horsecreekstable.com, one of the pages is called Donate, and on there, there's a PayPal button there where anybody that wants to donate, they can.
Okay, that's wonderful. And Brianne Collar, thank you very much. She says, great presentation. So I'm going to end it here, you guys, unless anyone else has anything. I think that we are done. So, okay, thanks, you guys. Talk to you next time. Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye-bye.